Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto Left But Hinata is Confused, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto finished buttoning up his white long-sleeved shirt and glanced at his reflection. Not too bad, he thought. He had put gel in his hair in order to tame his unruly blonde locks, and he discarded his Konoha headband. The stone-washed blue jeans he wore were complemented nicely by the leather belt Hinata had made him purchase and matched the shoes he was wearing. Pleased with the overall look, Naruto picked up his wallet and whistled as he made his way out the door. The sky was glowing pink and yellow as he made his way down the normally busy streets of Konoha. Everything was going to plan so far. He had called and made reservations at the lake house when he had returned home, and the ensemble he wore gave him a more polished look, a more adult look. His spirits were high and the anticipation of the date to come swelled inside him. It was almost too much to bear. His mind was filled with images of him and Sakura and how they would act on the date. He imagined her blushing and being impressed with everything he did, while he would admire her beauty and hold her close to him as they stared out at the lake. His imagination grew with every step he took, while his smile grew wider and wider. When Naruto finally turned down the street leading to Sakura's door, he felt a cold breeze that sent tingles up his spine. He froze for a moment and examined the area. Naruto felt his intuition roaring. This was the same feeling he had that night. Naruto eyed the darkening street wearily. "Is someone there?" he shouted. "Show yourself." There was no answer, just the empty narrow street, but he couldn't shake the knowing feeling deep in the pit of his stomach. "He's here." Naruto finished making his way to Sakura's house and knocked on the door. The ominous feeling did not leave, but mingled with the newer ones making their way in. He lightly wiped his hands on his pants and took in long, deep breaths to slow down his heart. It was a strange sensation, being completely overwhelmed by hope and nerves, while simultaneously being alert and on guard. Naruto continued to wait patiently at the door, stuck in his dual state. It seemed like he had been there forever, when the door suddenly swung open. "I thought you said 7. An irritated voice shouted at him from the other side of the threshold. "Do you have any idea what time it is?" Aye. Naruto began rubbing the back of his N intensely. "It's already 7:30. Naruto moved as he saw an all too familiar fist swing back to strike him. Databio was the only thing he managed before being pelted across the face. This was definitely not shaping out the way he thought it would. "Are we going to go on a date or not?" Sakura demanded through a pair of puffed up lips. "You hit me because I'm late, and you still want to go on a date?" Naruto shouted. "It's rude to keep one's date waiting," Sakura said with an arrogant turn of her head as she crossed her arms. "So what did you have planned?" she demanded. Naruto rubbed his face where Sakura had hit him and tried to calm himself down. "It's alright, she still wants to go on a date with you. This is what you want her to like you. Impress her with your manners." Naruto gritted his teeth and politely offered his hand to his date. Sakura hesitated, a look of confusion on her face. Then she slowly placed her hand in his and allowed him to lead her out the door and through the streets. "I thought we could begin with a walk, so we could talk a little, then I thought we could go to dinner." Naruto answered her question after he had cooled off a little. It didn't matter that the date didn't start off well, it just mattered what happened during the date. "Where are we going for dinner?" Sakura batted her eyelids and gave him a demure smile. Naruto felt a warm feeling rise from his stomach and wash away all the doubt that still lingered from before. "I can't tell you that," he said with an eye-closing smile, "it's a surprise." Naruto felt her give his hand a small squeeze and he looked down surprised to see they were still holding hands. His stomach fluttered as the idea of people seeing them walking hand in hand together like a real couple passed through his mind. Yep, it's going to be a good night. He decided to start the date by taking a walk through the park. There they watched the light finish fading into darkness and the moon rise into the sky. It was then that Naruto noticed how Sakura looked that night. She was wearing a dark pink backless dress that stopped at mid-thigh and snugly hugged every curve. Between her hair and her dress, Sakura's eyes really popped, and it reminded Naruto of the constellation Jiraiya had told him about. Silently he turned his attention to the stars and found the two great lights looking down on him. He turned his head to point them out to Sakura, but as he did, two blurry lines formed under the stars from the movement and it looked like they were crying. Naruto stopped and stared up at the sky. He saw the slight hint of a face appear, but he couldn't make out who it was. She was upset and it looked like she was calling out to him. Then the image vanished, leaving Naruto only with questions. The girl he saw definitely wasn't Sakura. Why couldn't he see her face in the stars anymore? After all, this was what he wanted. He was on date with her, he planned on having many more dates with her, so why couldn't he see her? Of course, if the woman in the sky wasn't Sakura, then who was she and why was she crying? Memories from his day with Hinata flashed through his mind and slight smile crossed his face. They are beautiful, aren't they, Naruto? Sakura interrupted his thoughts. You see, those two stars, they are brightest in the sky. Naruto didn't need to follow her gaze to know what she was looking at. Yes, they are. They are part of a constellation called Cassiope, he said. Sakura turned her green eyes on him, and even though he could not see it, he could feel the shock in them. Naruto smiled and turned his head toward her. How do you know that? She insisted. Jiraiya told me about it while I was training. The story goes something like a beautiful woman became too vain and was punished by the gods to hang up in the sky for all eternity. Sakura looked longingly at the stars. Didn't she have a lover or someone to save her? Sakura asked, her thoughts engrossed in the romance of the story. I don't know. I don't think so. Naruto shrugged. They continued to gaze up at the two shining stars together, and Naruto's mind wandered to the night before. There was a slight tug on his heart as he remembered seeing Sasuke. Why had he appeared to him? And how did he disappear so quickly? He knew he should share what had happened with his teammate, and he wanted to share it with his teammate, but for some reason, he couldn't. He couldn't bring himself to tell her that he had seen Sasuke, and he let him get away. Naruto sighed and looked at the town clock. It's time for us to go, he said as he stood and held out his arm for Sakura. She happily hooked her arm through his and looked at the bushy trees as they passed by them in the moonlight. I don't think I'd want someone to save me, Sakura asserted as they meandered down the path toward the restaurant. What do you mean? Naruto wondered, curiosity ringing through his voice. Well, it's just that a person should be strong enough to take care of themselves. I wouldn't want to be a burden on everyone. Isn't that why we ninja train, so we are strong and can protect ourselves? Sakura said absently. I guess. Naruto's brow furrowed as he contemplated Sakura's words. I wanted to become a ninja so I would be strong enough to protect the village and the people I care about. Sasuke's face flashed through Naruto's mind and a shooting pain ran through his heart. Exactly. Sakura agreed. And if you cannot protect yourself, then how can you protect the village? Sakura said with an arrogant air. Don't you agree, Naruto? Naruto's mind stayed on Sasuke. He had been one of the strongest ninja in their age group, but he still was taken by the dark. Should Naruto just give up on him? I don't know what I believe, Naruto answered, not wanting to upset Sakura by arguing with her on the date. They walked the rest of the way in silence, hand in hand. Sakura sweetly caressed Naruto's palm with her thumb and allowed her side to brush up against him every now and again. Naruto heard a pounding in his ears every time she slid by him with her hip, and he worried she could hear it too. As they continued walking, the buildings became spaced farther apart and Sakura became more nervous as they headed toward the outskirts of the village. Where are you taking me, Naruto? She asked tentatively. Naruto gave her hand a reassuring squeeze and smiled. Trust me, he said. We're almost there. They walked by the giant trees that lined the water of the lake, and Naruto could see three dark figures at the water's edge. He instinctively pulled Sakura closer to him and put his arm around her. They were almost there and he didn't want any trouble, so he quickened his step. Why are you walking so fast, Naruto? Sakura asked, concern in her voice. I thought you might be getting cold and we're almost there, Naruto responded. As he finished saying this, they turned the bend and there, at the edge of a dock, sat the lake house in the middle of the water surrounded by a dozen lit trees. Sakura gasped as she eyed the tiny restaurant. Naruto smiled as a deep satisfaction spread through his body. When they entered the dimly lit building, the hostess immediately showed them to their table. Sakura continued to be impressed, as they bypassed all the candlelit booths inside the restaurant and were led out to the more private tables outside by the lake. Naruto watched as Sakura marveled at the reflection of the moon in the water and the way the lights in the trees cast a faint glow on the surface of the lake. Wow, now we can look at the stars while we eat, Sakura said with a huge smile on her face. But Naruto, this place must be expensive. It's okay, nothing is too good for you, Sakura. Naruto shrugged. Sakura gave him a small smile and opened up her menu. Naruto watched as she streaked USD it intently and found himself fighting back the urge to take her in his arms and kiss her. Her hair was rustling in the breeze and her skin glowed in the moonlight. Nothing could ruin this night. So Naruto, Sakura said from behind her menu, you haven't said anything about the way I look tonight. Oh, I haven't, Naruto said dumbly. He began rubbing the back of his neck as he thought about the skimpy little dress that showed off her legs and her little cleavage. Oh, well you look, great Sakura. Your legs look really nice in that dress, Naruto confessed as his mind began to wonder what she would look like with the dress off. His cheeks turned pink and he opened his menu in an attempt to distract his mind. Oh, it looks like it might rain, Sakura commented as she stared up at the sky. Naruto glanced up and saw dark cloudy figures moving across the face of the moon. Damn. Well, I guess I should go and have an umbrella brought out, he said as he excused himself from the table. Naruto disappeared inside the restaurant and found a waiter to accommodate them. When he returned, Sakura was gone. Frantically he ran back inside the restaurant and searched. Where could she be? I wasn't gone that long. He asked the hostess and the other staff if they had seen Sakura, if they had seen her go to the restroom or if she had left out the front door. All of them just shook their heads and said they had not. The pink-haired woman. Naruto went back out to where they had been sitting and looked around. He noted the way the menu had been tossed to the ground and the way her napkin clung limply to the chair. These weren't the signs of a calm departure. It looked as though she had left in a hurry, or was taken. Naruto turned to leave the restaurant, in order to find a trace of where she may have gone, when he heard it. Sasuke, come back. Sakura's voice echoed over the water. Naruto strained his eyes as he looked across the lake. He could faintly see her on the other side and she was chasing after a dark figure. His red eyes were visible even from this distance. Sasuke. Naruto jumped over the wooden railing of the deck and used his chakra to run across the top of the water. Sakura, come back. Sasuke. Naruto yelled as Sakura's silhouette slipped behind a large tree into the dark forest. Immediately he made 100 clones and sent them off in several directions, while he followed the path he had seen Sakura take. I can't lose you too. Naruto frantically chased after her, following the glimpses of pink that appeared and disappeared behind each tree, as the rain began pouring down. He continued running and dodging the trees long after he had last seen her. He couldn't give up, he couldn't just let her go. He had to find her and bring Sasuke back. As Naruto continued his rampage through the forest, more clouds began to gather overhead and soon light drops began landing on his head. Gradually the rain became heavier, blurring Naruto's sight, while the trees became too dense for him to charge through. He had to stop, he couldn't keep up the pace, but he couldn't just give up. He had been too weak to save Sasuke before, he wasn't going to lose him again, or Sakura. Naruto stopped and surveyed his surroundings. There must be a way to continue following them without blindly following. Naruto eyed the damp ground and Saint USD the massive trees, then he eyed the bushy leaves above him. That's it. Swiftly, he leaped up into the branches and searched the surrounding area. Nothing, I can't see anything. Naruto looked out over the massive area in front of him. How could they already be gone? Then Naruto saw a shadowy figure approaching from the way he had just come. Naruto silently crouched up in the tree and waited for the dark figure to draw near. When the person stepped under the branch, Naruto plunged to the ground, taking the man down with him. Naruto wrestled with the man on the ground and pinned his hands back. Where is Sakura? Naruto demanded. I don't know. I didn't see her, I was following you, I thought you might need my help. A familiar voice rang in Naruto's ears. Then a loud bark came from the shadows of the trees and a furry, four-legged creature emerged. Akamaru. Kiba. What are you guys doing here? Naruto asked. Following you. Kiba answered. What's going on? Sakura followed Sasuke into the woods and I lost her. Naruto beat his fist against the ground angrily. I have to go after her. Whoa there Naruto, we've already lost her and you don't know where she's going. Kiba said calmly. What we need to do is go back and inform the Hokage, then we need to formulate a plan to rescue her. But I can't just let her go. Naruto insisted. You've already lost her, and I can't track her in the rain. Her scent has been washed away. Kiba explained to his friend. Your best chance at finding Sakura is going back into the village, finding out as much as you can about Sasuke and formulating a plan before you leave. No, I can't believe that is my only option. Naruto resisted. If I let her go down, I may never see her again. Time is too fragile to waste. If you ever want to see her again, you have to. Kiba gave him a serious look and Naruto resigned. Then we can't waste any time. Naruto rose to his full height and a red flash illuminated his eyes. Sakura's depending on us. The rain came down hard as Naruto followed Kiba through the trees. Their feet were swallowed by the mud as they blindly stumbled over the shrubs and tree roots that lined the ground. Kiba kept one hand on Akamaru to keep his balance and reassure himself that his best friend was okay, as they lead the way back to the village. They didn't have far to travel, but between the weather and the obstacles on the forest floor, the journey back took longer than it would have on a normal night. Eventually, through the dense foliage, Kiba could make out the bleary streetlights of Konoha. Excited, he turned around to encourage Naruto, but he wasn't there. Naruto! Kiba cried. No answer. Naruto! He called again. Still there was no answer. Kiba looked at Akamaru and without a sound, they both headed back searching for Naruto. He couldn't have gone far, Kiba thought, he was right behind me. Damn the rain, I can't even tell if he is anywhere around. My sense of smell has been completely washed away. Suddenly, Kiba stopped. A dark figure emerged from behind the tree trunk directly ahead of him. Naruto! Kiba gasped as he examined his friend. Naruto was covered in mud from head to foot and he was holding his arm. I fell down. The golden-haired shinobi muttered in shame. Kiba shook his head and rolled his eyes. Well hurry, we're almost back to the village. Kiba ordered. At Kiba's words, Naruto regained his resolve and took the lead, charging through any trees or shrubs that stood in his way. Kiba was forced to jump onto Akamaru's back in order to keep up. Soon, they burst through the edge of the woods that opened up onto the lake. Neither shinobi hesitated before running straight over the top of the lake to the other side. Naruto, Kiba called from behind, we need to get Hinata before we continue on to the Hokage. At the sound of Hinata's name Naruto stopped and rounded on Kiba. What? You left Hinata all by herself? He yelled, outraged by the idea. Kiba knew about the sightings, how could he leave Hinata all alone? Naruto glared at his comrade, his insides boiling. She is a kunoichi, Kiba screamed back defending his actions. She is strong enough to handle herself. Besides, I told her to stay hidden under the cover of the trees. Naruto seethed at Kiba's words. So what if she was a kunoichi, Sakura was one too and she had been taken? If Sakura had been taken, then what chance did Hinata have? Sakura was a strong, self-confident kunoichi. Compared to her innate athleticism, Hinata's soft voice, shy eyes and slender body seemed too gentle, too delicate, too trusting to resist an attack. Naruto resisted the urge to respond to Kiba and silently followed him along the edge of the lake. The water was overflowing and they had to wade through it as the rain pelted them in the face. Naruto didn't care, he was already soaked and the ankle-deep water wouldn't make any difference. When they came upon the cluster of trees where Kiba had left Hinata, Naruto noticed a shadowier figure. At first he was relieved, Hinata was alright, but upon closer inspection, he realized the shadow did not fit the description of a dainty female. On the contrary, the figure was roughly the same height as Naruto with broad shoulders. As Naruto and Kiba closed the distance, Naruto could clearly see the man was wearing a jacket that covered the bottom portion of his face and a pair of dark sunglasses. Shino, where's Hinata? Kiba inquired as he dismounted Akamaru. Shino didn't move, despite the heavy flow of water cascading down his glasses down his face and into his jacket. I assume she has gone after you. Shino stated. What do you mean she ran after us? Naruto yelled as he forced his way past Kiba and grabbed a handful of Shino's jacket. Just what I said. I was walking by when Hinata caught my attention. She asked me to stay here in case Kiba returned. Shino said nonchalantly as Naruto glowered in his face. Naruto was furious now. Both Kiba and Shino had left Hinata to fend for herself and now she was missing. He wanted to turn to Kiba and punch him, he wanted to lecture him for his incompetence, he wanted shake Shino for allowing her to wander off. Now she was missing and it was all their fault. First Sakura, now Hinata. Who would be next? I don't understand. Kiba scratched his head in wonder. I specifically told her stay here. That's not the point. Naruto burst out in anger. He couldn't control his temper any longer. Hinata is gone and it's all your fault, you should have known better than to leave her alone. Hinata is just as strong as any of us. Kiba hollered as he felt the pit of his stomach drop. He knew each word Naruto spoke was true. He shouldn't have left her alone. He knew that she was strong, but he should have protected her. That's enough you two, now is not the time to fight. Saving Hinata and Sakura must come first. Shino calmly intervened. Both Naruto and Kiba dropped their heads and muttered under their breath. Shino was right, they couldn't just stand there arguing, they had to inform the Hokage. She would know what to do. Reluctantly, Kiba and Naruto ended their fight and led the way to Tsunade, while Shino followed close behind them. It wasn't until they had almost reached the Hokage's office that a thought hit Kiba and he subtly dropped back to speak to Shino. Hey Shino, Kiba called, he voiced deeping with curiosity. What were you doing wandering the streets of Konoha at this time of night? I was practicing the family jutsu. Shino answered without missing a beat. Kiba street USD his friend as he ran beside him. For a while, the only sound they could hear was the slapping of the water at their feet as Kiba mulled over his friend's response. Are you referring to the same family jutsu you've been working on for the last 3 years? Kiba interrogated as he eyed his friend suspiciously. Yes, Shino responded unnerved. Really? Kiba said. His interest perked more than ever. You know, I don't believe that Hinata or I have ever seen that jutsu. He pressed. Shino tugged on his jacket collar and cleared his tea. What? I can't take a leisurely walk after training. He said defensively. I thought we were comrades. A comrade doesn't become suspicious of his friend. Shino complained, eluding the question. Guilt quickly overtook Kiba and he ran the rest of the way to the Hokage's in silence. When the trio approached the fire-red building of the Hokage, Naruto wasted no time waiting for an underling to open the doors. He barged right in, with Kiba and Shino trailing behind. Naruto made his way down the circular hallways ignoring the cries of irritation from the other ninja and staff as he caused papers to fly and boards to shake loose with his out-of-control chakra. When he reached the wooden double doors leading into the Hokage's office, he kicked them open and didn't come to a stop until he hovered over Tsunade. The blonde-haired beauty continued working on her reports and only glanced up to acknowledge the entrance of the two shinobi who straggled in after the whirling ball of anger. Yes, she asked distractedly, her blue eyes still examining the papers in front of her. Grandma-san, you have to do something now. Sakura's been taken by Sasuke and Hinata has disappeared as well. The words urgently spilled out of Naruto's mouth. Tsunade took in a deep breath and placed her quill neatly across the top of the paper stack upon her desk. Slow down Naruto, tell me what happened. Tsunade ordered in a soothing voice. Naruto relayed the events that transpired on his date with Sakura and Tsunade listened intently with her chin resting on her hands. She street USD every move he made as his hand gestures and pacing became wilder with the progression of his story. When he reached the point where Hinata went missing, he glared at Kiba and Shino and blamed them outright for her actions. Emotionless Shino accepted the accusation, while Kiba balled his hands into angry fists, leaving bloody impressions where his claw-like nails had dug into his skin. After Naruto had finished his story, Tsunade laid her hands across her desk and contemplated the new information. We must form a team to go out at once, she finally announced. I don't really know much about the Sasuke sightings. I only have the reports people have given me over the past 3 years, but reports from civilians are hardly ever helpful, or compromised ninja for that matter. Tsunade eyed the rambunctious shinobi at her side. Still, even with so little intelligence, I find it hard to believe that Sakura is his true target. If she had been, why would he have waited for so long to make his move? Perhaps he is using her as bait to draw out his real target. Shino coolly offered. Perhaps. Tsunade concurred and she eyed all three of them. For now, we will treat this as a seek and rescue mission. Our main objective is to bring back Sakura and find Hinata. Shino Street USD Tsunade as she continuously glanced at Naruto. I guess I'll have to send out the people I have here for now. She frowned as she rubbed her chin. Too bad I sent Shikamaru out on such a frivolous mission. Shino frowned at her words. I am just as capable as Shikamaru, ma'am. My arithmetical skills are close to being just as good as Shikamaru's and my teammate is one of the people missing. He defended himself, hurt by her snub. Ha. Oh yeah Shino, I almost forgot all about your abilities. I guess you will have to do in Shikamaru's place. Tsunade waved a hand dismissively in his direction. Shino slumped down in defeat. Not even the Hokage recognized him. At least he has his teammates. Hinata would be grateful for his help in finding her. I think that we will need to call out one more person. After all, we can't send you out in such a small number. Tsunade said with a smile. A dark figure emerged from the corner. His long black hair contrasting his holy-like robes and silver eyes, his stoic face betraying no emotion. Neji will be accompanying you as well. He was the first to spot Sasuke 3 years ago, and he is the only other person who witnessed what has transpired tonight. Tsunade announced. Then that means. Kiba gasped. That's right Kiba, I already knew before you came. However, Neji didn't arrive here that far ahead of you three, so I didn't have time to send out another squad. So for now you will have to do. Be careful, in all of my reports, Sasuke's description has never changed. I don't know anything more than that. Then she dismissed them from her office and buried herself with the paperwork on her desk. They were on their own for now. Naruto raced down the halls once more and stopped just outside the front doors. The rain hit his face as he waited for the other three to catch back up. Neji, Shino and Kiba walked down the corridors together, following in Naruto's wake. Shino turned to Neji. How much longer does he have? Neji activated his Byakugan and silently examined his target. Minutes, he said. Kiba gave the two of them a bewildered look. What are you two talking about? He asked. Neji ignored Kiba's inquiry and turned his attention back to Shino. How long has he been like this? The gate slowed as they approached the double doors. 20, maybe 30 minutes. Shino guessed. Neji silently took in this information. Impressive, he said passively. Tell me what you're talking about. Kiba demanded as his head spun from the mysterious conversation between the other two squad members. Relax Kiba, you'll understand soon. Shino coaxed his teammate like a puppy and Kiba allowed the statement to subside his curiosity, but not his outward frustration at his teammates. Together they straggled out into the cold, rainy night. Naruto greeted them with a tapping foot and crossed arms. Geez, could you guys be any slower? He glowered at the three them. We need to hurry if we want to rescue Sakura and find Hinata. Shino nodded his head in acknowledgement and stepped forward, the water splashing at his feet. Before we go Naruto, I have something else you need to hear. Shino said laying his hand on Naruto's muddy shoulder and bringing his shaded eyes to Naruto's. You need to believe in her. What? Naruto scrunched his face in confusion. What do you mean believe in her? Why are you acting so strange all of a sudden Shino? Shino just shook his head and repeated his words with more force. Believe in her Naruto. The rain pelted down on the four of them as they stood there in silence. Hinata made her way through the wall of rain and trees. If she was anyone else, she would have lost sight of them long ago, but her Byakugan was impervious to the blinding rain. All she had to do was make sure she could keep up. Her light summer dress now clung to every inch of her thighs and torso, suffocating her skin, but she had to keep moving forward. He needed her help. She needed to be strong enough. No, she was strong enough to help. She concentrated on the girlish figure countless meters away who briskly moved through the wood. Who or what she was following, Hinata could not discern. She couldn't even tell where they were headed. As Hinata trudged forward through the mud, her foot suddenly got caught. Frustrated, she pulled her leg up with as much force as she could muster, only to fall down into the wet dirt. Disoriented, Hinata struggled to push herself back up using the soft ground, when she heard a twig crack in the distance. Hinata's heart began to race and her eyes went wide with fear. Desperately she pulled at her leg, as wet, squishy footsteps began to close in on her. Hinata's mind began to race with thoughts of her childhood, Thoughts of her father and thoughts of Neji. She could see her father telling her not to get in the way as she left on her first mission. He had always believed she was more of a nuisance than a ninja. Then there was Neji. She could picture him sneering at her as he hit her with his final blow during the Chunin exams. He had always been strong, while she had always been weak. Had he been right? Could people not change? Would she always be destined to be nothing more than a hindrance, a bother to her teammates and everyone around her? No, she couldn't believe that. She had been training for so long. She had tried so hard to become strong, like Kiba, like Neji, like Naruto. Byakugan. Hinata cried, frightened tears beginning to form in her lavender eyes. Clearly she could make out the shape of her assailant. He was standing just on the other side of the tree and he had an awkward chakra swirling in the middle of his system. She watched as the young man made his way around the tree and stopped feet away from her. His was face hidden in the shadows of the night, but Hinata knew who he was. She would know his silhouette anywhere she thought as several beads of water flowed down his forehead and lingered at the tip of his nose. Hinata. A familiar voice breathed her name. A rush of relief swept through Hinata, clearing her head and allowing the tears to flow freely and mingle with the rain. Naruto. She whispered back with a warm smile on her face. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.